Barakatha Yahweh, Barakatha Yahweh Shai, all praises, honor, and glory be unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakat Kwadash, double honors to our apostles and elders at Great Millstone who taught us his truth and who rule well. Peace, love, salutation, and mercy be unto the hopeful elect, you Akim, and few Aquathium that subscribe unto this truth, that believe in Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai with your whole hearts, with your whole body, with your whole soul. You're watching for these few prophecies to happen in the earth in the return of our Lord and Savior Yahweh Shai. A peace be unto you and your household. May Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai have mercy upon you. We're in the end times, and the declaration that shows that we're in the end times is how these nations are putting together the system that will sync well, that would merge well with the RFID chip system. All right, the way that the RFID chip system will work, all right, it will be an implant that is inside of you. All right, it will be a microchip that is inside of you, but it will also be biometrics that is used as well. Which the word biometrics goes into the measurement, of the body. You're measuring biology. You're measuring the fingerprint, or you're measuring the height and the width of a body. You're measuring the eye, and retina. Those things. You're measuring facial expressions, of individuals. And based upon certain facial expressions, you can tell if they're angry. You can tell if they're sad. You can tell if they're depressed. You can tell if they're stressed. You can tell, all of this, through the science. It was once, and the first time that I heard this ever spoken about was by Apostle Tahar, which he spoke about smart cities. These cities are being turned into smart cities. They're installing, 5G, so that these, cameras, can work off of the 5G, so that, certain towers can work off of the 5G, so that, the RFID chip as well as the brain implant will work off of that 5G as well. They're, establishing these cities, to pretty much monitor and control the people that are within it, to, basically strip away certain privileges, certain abilities, just to tighten the screws on people, to have more of a control, and every once in a while, there's a psyop, or a false flag, or something, that they'll do to pretty much strip away more and more of your liberty, making it more of a dystopia, making it more of a dystopia. And, we're living in, things such as the novel as 1984, or, movies that come to mind is Equilibrium, or Fahrenheit 451, in the which that certain emotions, were monitored. You were monitored as an individual, but if you showed signs of emotion, that wasn't tolerated. And things that influence, certain emotions, such as books, literature, art, movies, or videos or certain things were banned. Well, they're doing that now. You got California that wants to put a ban on the Bible. And that's not just within California, but that's something that they really want to do without the whole United States of America. You have, the cancel culture now, where certain things aren't tolerated, in the aspect of, you and your beliefs are not tolerated. The government, and their agenda, they push their beliefs on you and tell you what you have to accept or what you can accept, and in regards to people that speak out against them. They deem them DTs, domestic terrorists, or they'll say that they're conspiracy nuts. So therefore, the things that they're saying, although they're true, against this place are not tolerated, and they're clipped. So we're living those things out that were done within certain documentaries, or done within certain novels, or done within certain movies. And there's a saying that art imitates life. The things that are going on now, pretty much resembles the things that we have seen within certain arts, such as films. And I want to bring to your attention, an article from the Technocracy News and Trends. So this is called the technocracy.com. Now, the information in regards to what it's going to talk about, such as China and their smart cities, this is news that is already known. In China, developed something called the social credit score. So based upon, what you eat, based upon, how you interact with other individuals, based upon what you buy, based upon what you sell, based upon, your day-to-day, your daily conversation, and that conversation, as much as of what you speak, although they probably monitor the things that you speak and say as well, in which you can't speak out against, Big Brother. You can't speak out against the government, because if you do, guess what? Your social credit score will become low. But your conversation, such as your conduct, which also includes the things that you speak, and not just the things you speak, but the things that you do as well, as your actions. So your actions within China comes with the consequence of you possibly not being able to travel, not being able to buy, not being able to sell, not being able to rent in certain places, not being able to get a plane ticket, or a train ticket. So if you're a jaywalker, if you're a smoker, if you're speaking against, their government, they'll give you a low social credit score. Now factor in something like this with the RFID chip, all right, in the brain implant. And you have a society that's totally controlled, by those that are in power, which is the government. And this isn't something that they're just going to do within China, but this is something that is happening all over. Now, within this particular article, it says this. It says, Big Brother, like mass state surveillance, is being developed by China, with streets full of cameras that can monitor citizens' emotions and track their social credit scores. The high-tech system will also help people snoop and rat on each other, all right, from the comfort of their homes, all right, or on the go with their smartphones. The communist regime nightmare-inducing plans involve installing spy cameras in all places and using artificial intelligence to calculate a person's social score, which will determine benefits or punishments. The sheer level of surveillance being planned is straight out of the dystopia created by author George Orwell in his book 1984, where the eyes of the state, Big Brother, are always watching you. But now it is being made easy with 21st century spy technology. It comes as privacy campaigners told The Sun Online that China's success in developing technology not only threatens the human rights of the Chinese citizens, but people across the world, because other places are going to eventually adopt, the same thing as China, or the same techniques. Dahlia Peterson, research analyst at Georgetown University Center for Security and Emerging Technology, told Sun Online, China is developing an Orwellian-style state. Domestically, the most frightening part is that many people inside China remain unaware of the true scope of surveillance and still welcome it as a source of security, because that's how they push it on you. They push it on you as if it's for your benefit, as if it's for your security, as if it's for your welfare. But ultimately, it's for them to, tighten the screws. It's for them to, gain more of a dominating power over you. And programs such as Sharp Eye, local government nationwide, have even successfully convinced citizens to take part in the surveilling, each other. And we're seeing the same thing here, all right, within Babylon, all right, of cameras popping up, and those cameras, have facial recognition technology. All right, it has that biometrics within it. All right, so this isn't something that's just going on there, but it's something that's going on here. Now, what happens is, whether it's actual crime or it's fictional crime, or something that's created by them as a false flag agenda, they're using, both aspects for their advantage, to push this on people as a means of security. Ms. Peterson now feared China's surveillance model may continue gaining legitimacy after the pandemic. She said this would only deepen China's normative advantages in allowing Chinese surveillance companies strategic expansion on a global scale, on a global scale. So I'm going to put this article within the description box. You can go and read about it. It even gives a breakdown on how their social credit score works. It gives you a breakdown of the biometric surveillance, and that's pretty much it. But this isn't something that's just happening within China. All right, this is something that's happening all over. All right, and mainly these nations that are getting involved in this are following the influence of Babylon. All right, they're following the influence of Babylon, and that's the reason why they're putting this together. See, Babylon have caused all nations to drink of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, and also to follow her ways. All right, even this particular country, all right, which is China. Hey, the scripture says in 2nd Ezra, the 15th chapter, in verse 46, it says, "And thou, Asia, that art partaker of the hope of Babylon, and art the glory of her persons, woe be unto thee, thou wretch, because thou hast made thyself like unto her, and hast decked thy daughters in whoredoms, all right, that they mightest please, all right, in glory in thy lovers, which have always desired to commit whoredoms with thee." So when you look at the Chinese people, all right, which is Moab, all right, which are living in the continent of Asia, all right, they are dressing like, the Babylonian people. They're speaking English. They're driving, American-made cars. They're looking at the movies. They're listening to the music. They're following that culture, and they're being just like the people over here in America. Well, the same thing in regards to their technology. All right, they're going to implement the RFID chip system as well. They're going to implement the mark of the beast system just as well as America. Why? Because they're following after the whore. Reading on, it says, "Thou hast followed her that is hated in all her works and inventions. Therefore saith Yahweh." Now, what is the RFID chip? What is the brain implant? All right, that's an invention. The word invention means finding or discovering, all right, something. All right, and directly from the Latin inventionem, all right, faculty of invention. So the RFID chip is an invention. It's a discovery, And not only is America going to push that, or Babylon going to push that, and on all of its people, but guess what? China is doing the same thing. Reading on in verse 49, "I will send plagues upon thee, widowhood, poverty, famine, sword, and pestilence, to waste thy houses with destruction. And the glory of thy power shall be dried up as a flower. All right, the heat shall arise that is sent over thee. Thou shalt be weakened as a poor woman with stripes, and as one chastised with wounds, so that the mighty and thy lovers shall not be able to receive thee. Would I with jealousy have so proceeded against thee, saith Yahweh, if thou hadst not always slain my chosen, art exalting the stroke of thine hand, and saying over their dead when thou wast drunken." And not only is, Babylon, which is being run by Esau, Edom, our adversaries, but Esau as well. All right, these are our two main adversaries, them as well as, Edom, as well as Moab, as well as the Philistines. These are our three main adversaries. All right. Psalms 108 and 9, it says, Moab is my watchpot. Over Edom will I cast out my shoe. Over Philistia will I triumph. So those are three of our main adversaries. And matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken, all right, all three of them are mentioned within Psalms 84. All right, because all of these nations are gathered together against us. Psalms 84 and 1, to the chief musician upon Gita, a psalm of the son of Korah. All right, 83, not 84. It says a song or psalm of Asaph. All right, keep not thou silence, O Yahweh, and hold not thy peace, and be not still, O power. For lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. All right, they have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more remembrance. They have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee, which means they are together. Now, who's in the main lineup? The tabernacles of Edom. Edom is number one. And then you have the Ishmaelites, and then you have the Moabites and the Hagarenes. All right. The tabernacle of Edom and the Ishmaelites of Moab and the Hagarenes, Gebal and Ammon, and Amalek and the Philistines with the inhabitants of Tyre. So all of these nations have gathered together against us. And the main three, is Edom, Moab, and the Philistines. But anyways, the point being is that even, Asia, even the Moabites are following in the way of Esau, in regards to technology, in regards to, the automotive system. All right, who's always, joined together with Esau and creating and inventing things, and who sells their chips and stuff to Esau to be able to, have these certain devices that run, such as these TVs and, within cars. All right, that's Moab, who's usually doing the scientific experiments. All right, such as, Esau, Edom, splitting atoms, splitting cells. All right, stem cell research. All right, growing babies outside of their mother's womb, and things like that is Esau and his Moab. They're into all of that. So Moab has fallen in the ways of Esau. They're following in the ways of Babylon. So Yahweh Bashmiah Shai is getting ready to reward her. All right, just as Yahweh is going to reward Babylon. Verse 55, the reward of thy whoredom shall be in thy bosom. Therefore shalt thou receive recompense. And this is back in 2 Ezra 15, verse 56. Like as thou hast done unto my chosen, said Yahweh, even so shall Yahweh do unto thee, and shall deliver thee into mischief. Thy children shall die of hunger, and thou shalt fall through the sword. Thy cities shall be broken down, and all thine shall perish with the sword. They that be in the mountain shall die of hunger, and eat their own flesh, and drink their own blood, for very hunger of bread and thirst of water. Thou as unhappy shall come through the sea and receive plagues again. And in the passage they shall rush on the idol city, and shall destroy some portion of the land, and consume part of thy glory, and shall return unto Babylon that was destroyed. So this land, Babylon, is going to be completely destroyed. But there's going to be destruction that's going on, in other places as well. And thou shalt be cast down by the stubble, cast down by them as stubble, and they shall be unto thee as fire, and shall consume thee in thy cities and lands, in the mountains, in all thy woods, in thy fruitful trees shall they burn up with fire. Thy children shall they carry away captive, and look what thou hast. They shall spoil it and mar the beauty of thy face. So the Moabites are going to go into captivity right with Esau, Edom. and these other nations for 1,000 years. And then after 1,000 years of slavery, all right, they'll be able to go back and to live in their lands and have their families, but they're going to pay tribute. And the scripture said that the wealth of the Gentiles shall flow unto thee. So they're going to have to pay us. All right. And they're going to constantly give us their wealth, and they're going to constantly give us their daughters. But going back to, all right, the word, and going to Revelations 3 and 10. All right. Because the mark of the beast system isn't just going to be something, all right, that's set up in this one country, all right, which is Babylon. All right. Also known as America. All right, this is something that's going to be worldwide. It's going to be all over. All right, it's going to be a system, all right, that's integrated. All right, in which they are going to give people the RFID chip and the brain implant to connect them to the Internet of Things. All right, and when they get those implements installed, it's called the Internet of Bodies. So those Internet of Bodies will connect them to, an interface. All right. They'll be connected to the smart cities. All right, Esau will have all of the know on you. Everything that he needs to know, he'll know. All right, because there will be no anonymity. All right, you won't be able to be anonymous. You will not be able to have secrecy or privacy. All right, he's gonna know everything. He's gonna know when you go to the toilet. Your toilet is gonna monitor you. All right, and find out what you ate. All right, based upon what you ate, you're going to get advertisements on your TV, advertising, because the technology in the toilet, broke down the components of your waste, and it knew what you had ate in your waste. So now it's advertising it on the TV, man. All right, they're going to have Bluetooth diapers for you to put on your baby to know when your baby need to be changed. All right, this stuff is far out. It's too much, man. All right, the inside of your house will be spying on you. All right, there's going to be surveillance cameras everywhere. All right, they're going to know everything, where you go, what you buy, who you talk to, what you said, if you're mad, if you're sad. All right, this isn't a system that I want to live in. All right, personally, I don't want to live in it. I don't want no parts with Esau and his mark of the beast or the RFID chip, the brain implant, the surveillance state. And this is going to be, like I said, all over. Why? Because all of these other nations are going to get on board with this. But then something is going to happen when they become upset at the whore. And that's going to lead to World War III. And they're going to use thermonuclear missiles to shoot over to this place. But the book of Revelation 3 and 10, it says, because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon all the world, to try them that dwell upon the earth. So what does it mean when it says all the world? The word there is oikomene, and it says the inhabited earth. All right, the inhabited earth, the whole inhabited earth, the world. So it's not just going to happen in a few places. This is something that's going to be going on all over. Some remote village, in Africa, where they could barely, They could barely speak English or don't know English at all. They're living in a mud hut, with a few bushes around them. It's going to be there as well. All right, it's going to be all over. All right. And all of these nations are going to get on board, but then all of these nations somehow, are going to become very upset to the point where they shoot thermonuclear missiles on this place to destroy it. And different parts of the world are going to be hit as well and be ravaged by war, and things that are going on, because there's going to be riots and uprising and seditions against governments, not only within, America, but all over as well. Because you're going to have, some people retaliating against this, these systems that are being set up. The financial systems are going to collapse. They're going to implement, and then they're going to implement the RFID chip system. But there's stages within the collapse, and one of the stages is that people aren't going to know what to do. And what they're going to do is rise up against their rulers. The book of 2nd Ezra, the 15th chapter, In verse 16, it says, For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another, and they shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. So there's going to be seditions against governments, which is an insurrection. All right, that's when people rise up against their governments. So there's going to be riots all over. There's going to be war all over. All right, eventually missiles are going to be shot all over. But the main place that's going to be destroyed is Babylon. So with that, this is what's getting ready to come upon you nations for following after the whore. And also that judgment that the whore is getting ready to receive is nigh at hand. It's close. The only thing that has to be done now is for them to implement this system. So go ahead, because they're doing it gradually, but speed up the process. Hurry up and get this shit over with, So with that, we truly hope that this lesson was edifying. Until the next time, Shalom.